Shalom, 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 Yasha. This your boy, Brother Shem with Allah. Back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called Sorry Won't Cut It. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say Koholo Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. Right, in the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa Qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who have ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all. Like I said, today's lesson is going to be called Sorry Won't Cut It. And I came across this article about a day or two ago. And it's from Al Jazeera, right? And they were actually going into, they always go, during the election, and they try to pinpoint. Usually it's always the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, so-called, I should say, because they know there's a vast amount of them, and they can help their vote, right? So, and this is, it says how Biden's indigenous boarding school apology could impact the Native vote. Now we see how it happened. We see the results, right? Your boy Nero, got in. So, obviously that wasn't good enough, right? And neither is an apology, and I was just kind of, skimming through this article, and, it was going into, let me see. Matter of fact, let's just go into it, right? So it says Rosalind Lapierre still shudders when she thinks of the abandoned, windowless Victorian manor that sat next to a tiny chapel on the Montana reservation where she grew up. It says some weekends as a child, Lapierre would pass by the gloomy estate on her way to the local cemetery to pay respects to deceased relatives. Along the way, her grandparents would tell stories of the atrocities they endured and witnessed inside the foreboding property. It says, think Addams Family, think death. Lapierre, an environmental historian and lecturer at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, told Al Jazeera, fear is the way people thought of those places. It says that system of culture erasures catapulted into the spotlight last month amid a tightly contested national election when President Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, formally apologized for the schools. He called them one of the most horrific chapters in American history. It says, we should be ashamed, Biden told the audience in a Gila River indigenous community in Arizona. Native communities silenced, their children's laughter and play were gone. The apology came in the twilight of Biden's presidency and against the backdrop of the presidential election between his vice president, Kamala, and former Republican President Donald Trump, right? It says, but some scholars and activists warned Biden did not go far enough in his condemnation of the boarding school system that they say could make a difference in mobilizing indigenous votes, right? Because that's ultimately what they want. They just want your votes. They could care less, These little, fake apologies and these, we're going to give you the world type stuff, man. And our people fall for it day in and day out, And like I said, sorry is not good enough, right? So let's see. It says 150 years of pain, right? It says the residential school system has its roots in the centuries of Western colonialism. It says, but in 1819, the U.S. government started to set aside funds to help introduce the habits of arts and civilization to indigenous people. Right? They basically wanted to reculturalize them, right? And get them into their ways, right? And these boarding schools were set up, as part, right? It says religious groups used the money to set up schools in 1879. A U.S. Army officer named Richard Henry Pratt set up the Carlisle Indian Industrial School in Pennsylvania, a prototype for many indigenous boarding schools across, right? It said Pratt had a catchphrase to sum up his goals: kill the Indian, save the man, right? They wanted to basically wipe away their culture, right? We'll get to that, right? That's Psalms 83, right? It says the indigenous boarding school system endured in the U.S. until the 1960s and 70s, right? Until pretty much right around that late 60s, right? When who came? Abba Bivens, and this truth started to be revealed again, to the people, right? You see how it all kind of correlates. It says tens of thousands of children were forcibly taken from their families and enrolled in schools which were largely run by churches. Once their hair was cut, they were assigned English names and they were forbidden to speak their native tongue, often under threat of physical punishment. Many of the children never came home. Some remain missing until this day. Right? What do you think was happening in there, man? Right? The same things that was happening to the so-called blacks, right? When they came over here, right? They weren't able to speak. They weren't able to read, right? And that was punishment. Why? Because they know who these people are, right? They know that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? And you of the diaspora, they know that you're the Israelites. Okay? They know that, right? So they tried to, it said, kill the Indian and save the man, right? They wanted to so-called whitewash, and wipe away that memory of who they are, right? Let's see. Let me jump down right here. At the bottom, it says her grandmother also witnessed a classmate die of lye poisoning. Lapierre said after repeatedly having her mouth washed out with soap for speaking her traditional tongue, right? It says some children would have their mouths washed out with soap. Oftentimes, historically, it was lye soap. Lye soap is poisonous, and you can die from that. It says my grandmother witnessed another child die from lye poisoning. She also witnessed other children getting severely ill from lye poisoning. Lapierre's grandfather was also subjected to cruel and unusual forms of punishment. It said they would make them march for speaking their language, and they would make a march endlessly, kind of like military drills, right? It said that's really common history that probably all children who went to boarding school shared. A lot of the stories that oftentimes get passed down to families are those about children who were punished for speaking their language, right? It says the indigenous children also received feeble education at the institution. Many schools prioritize religious teachings over meaningful educational instruction. Ultimately, the vast majority left with few vocational skills or educational knowledge and shattered cultural identity. Many fell into poverty, right? Let's see. I'm just trying to skip through this a little bit. Let's go to this one, right? It says boarding schools touch every single Native person today, she explained, and we have so many stories that are tragic, but we also have so many stories from the boarding school that remind us how strong and vibrant our Native communities are, right? And you see a bottom picture of, look at this school, man. It's, with all these children, man, taken away from, from their parents, and then forced to basically convert to, Esau's, Caesar Borgia, Serapis Christus, right? AKA, white Jesus, right? The whole nine. They gave them names, they cut out their hair, and they told them not to speak their language. All right. Let's see. I think that's it on that, right? So let's get that, right? Let's get into a couple of scriptures, right? I'm not gonna make this too long, right? But their whole purpose was to try to wipe away the memory of these people, right? And let's get that. Let's go to what did I say I was gonna do? Psalms. Let's get Psalms 83 real quick, right? Because this was the mentality, right? And you got a little, poop butt sorry, for for taking your children away from you, put them in a boarding house. Some were missing, some died. This and all the atrocities. You could just imagine the things that they were doing to these children. This is Psalms 83 and verse 2. It says, "For lo, thine enemy make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." Right? So that was their whole purpose, was to cut the Native Americans, right? The indigenous people, so-called Native Americans, right? Which are Israelites, right? The Northern Kingdom, they basically told them, they try to cut them off from being a nation, Here, no. You're going to conform to our ways. You're going to do what we do, right? We're going to cut your hair, and that's why, like, when you see a lot of them with a last name of Smith, and like it just be some real generic names, because they tried to take away that whole, their whole culture of what they had, right? They first they took them off their land and put them on the worst land, right? Basically, a desert, dirt land. They took them from their best land and gave them that, and then they wiped away their history and their knowledge from them. All right. But it says, they have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, right? That's exactly what they're doing, right? And this is why, the scriptures tell you, you go to the book of Ecclesiasticus or the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10, right? It says, Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, right? It says, Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not altogether been wiped away. Right? Because he'll sit there and, we're raising funds to help you guys out. But this is what we want you to do with the funds. Nope, you can't speak your language anymore. Nope, you can't do this anymore. Nope, you're going to have your children come with you. And these are all part of the curses, right? Let me finish this off, right? This is verse 16. It says, An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. It says, He will weep with his eyes, but he will find opportunity, and he will not be satisfied with blood. Okay? You give some kind of little sorry apology, right? Thinking that I can use these guys to get, some more votes or this, that, and the other. So let me apologize for, 150 years of, destroying these people, and ultimately, and listen, I just want to say sorry, apologize, right? But vote for us, right? That's how slick this devil is, man. That's how slick this devil is, right? But, these are the curses that are amongst our people. And then these are the people who we're dealing with, man, right? And it's not, like I say, it's not only just the blacks and Hispanics, right? But it's also the Native American. They're all we're all, you are Israelites, right? And their whole mission is to try to wipe away your identity from you, right? What is that? I was trying to see where Deuteronomy. Let's see. Here we go. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 41, it says, "Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity," right? And that's what happened to them. They took these children away from their parents and put them into these boarding schools, right? To try to conform them, right? That's the tactics of Esau, man. Esau loves to do stuff like that. He loves to, you know, uh, try to, if he can conform and change, he'll try to do that, right? Verse number 33, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse number 32 of Salakia. It says, "Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with the longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand," right? Because they were forcibly taken. They were forcibly taken from their parents, right? And you see, if they talked their native tongue, they got lied, they got poisoned down their throat. These are the things that this devil does, man, right? And you think a simple apology will do, right? For touching the apple of Yahawa's eye? Come on, man, right? The book of Psalms, chapter 55, and verse number 21. It says, let's go to let's just go to verse 20, right? This is Psalm chapter 55, verse 20. It says, he had put forth his hand, that's the wicked, he had put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant, right? That's Esau's whole mentality, man, right? Who you call the so-called white man, from the top Bacon families on down, the elite top Bacon families on down. That's their whole motive, right? It says he put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant, right? When they came over here, what did they do? They tried to act like they were peaceful, right? When did they do? They gave, they gave blankets where they had smallpox and different things, and tried to wipe off, the Native Americans, man. It says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords," right? And that's his tactic. He rather, Esau, his blessing is the sword, right? But if he can kind of smooth talk you and say, "Hey, we're going to go and we're going to give your kids free education, and we're going to show, we're going to give them school," they'll say anything they want. They'll have to say to try to get you so that they can conform you to their ways. It's the same thing that Sleepy Joe tried to do. Here, I want to apologize, for something that happened, I know it happened, over 100 something years ago, but hey, listen, I want to apologize now, and I'm looking for you. That's how they do, man. That's how they operate, right? You can't be ignorant to Satan's devices, man. You can't be ignorant to that, These people don't mean you any well, all right? And they think that, a little apology for, for hundreds of years and decades of basically destruction and destroying your culture and your things is gonna is gonna be okay. No, right? What is this? Zechariah chapter 1 and verse number 15. It says, "I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, but they helped forward the affliction." All right, and this just shows you that the so-called Native Americans, right? Those are our people, man. Those are our people. They go through the same afflictions and things that we go through, at this point, right? And the Lord is, is remembering all these things. He's remembering those who are touching his anointing. All right. Um, this is Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8. It says, "For thus saith Yahawah," right? Bahasham Yahawashi of hosts, "after the glory he hath sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye." Right? Your apology is not going to work. Right? we know you're not going to do reparations, and even that's not going to work. Right? We don't want your money. We don't want an apology. None of that, man. Right? We want, retribution. All right? We want, the recompense that Yahawashi is going to bring upon, our enemies, man, and those who have touched the apple of his eye, man. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because you are the Israelites, right? And best believe, those who have touched you are going to reap the reward, all right, at the end of the day. And sorry is not going to cut it, all right? But the scriptures tell you that, Yahawah will fight our battle, right? He will fight for us, right? And that's what we're looking for, right? That's what we're patiently waiting for, all right? For the return of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, all right? And the angels, right, to come and and bring, vengeance upon this place, and the deliverance, of the elect of the nation of Israel, okay? Because it's really about the elect at the end of the day, all right? So, Lord's will, this was edifying. Right with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash, right? Peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad, a mighty shalom to the 144,000 men, and to the rest of the elect. Stay diligent, stay focused, keep enduring. Understand who your enemy is, and understand, man, these apologies and all these things, they're not going to cut it, man. That's not what we want, right? We want Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi to render recompense speedily upon our enemies, man. All right, and with that, I want to say shalom.